And ladies and gentlemen, we are live. It is 4:00 p.m., October 27th, 2022. We're hanging out at the 2LaneLIVE headquarters in Canoga Park, California. And today we've got a pretty awesome guest, Alex Chacon. He has traveled all over the world on motorcycles and not 70 plus countries, 160,000 plus miles, and some crazy stuff. Anyway, what are we drinking today,
fell
boys?
into that.
I'm excited for this.
And Galen,
I'm super excited.
we might have to explain it once more people are on because we've got a whole 7 people watching 30 seconds in.
Yeah.
But Galen brings me in. Hey, have you ever seen this guy? He commented on my thing. I'm like, that's not your post, buddy. You're tagged in that post. Anyway, hit him up. He got him in there.
Fate.
We checked out his stuff. It's all great.
We'll talk about that.
And yeah, so I'm going to crack open a nice cold beverage and leave it to you two to give the people some updates before we patch them in. But first,
well, definitely you
go.
have to subscribe to our
Nice.
YouTube channel. That's the most important thing right now at this very second. After that, the other important things will happen.
Yeah.
oh, and hold on. This episode is brought to you by Eagle Rider Motorcycle Rentals and Tours.
Fantastic.
Plug.
And you did hold up a can in front of that. What do you got there?
I'm drinking a Voodoo Ranger Juicy Haze. It's Thursday, baby.
I got the liquid, so I can't wait to taste this one. This is a really nice beer.
Fat
Check
Tire.
out New Belgium Beer. They've got a bunch of different brands. But what an incredible week. We flew to Salt Lake City, my hometown, on Friday. We did some last minute filming. We were supposed to film on Saturday, but we did some filming on the 2023 Limited and the Ultra. So look forward to seeing that. It looks like it's going to be mid-January before that comes out, but that was pretty fun.
Laura and Teresa went with us. We got a little bit of snow. We got a little bit of rain. We got to ride, film with some great people. Ben Kerpius, all these different guys. It was great.
It was great. And then, I asked Josh if I could have Monday off. So I ended up spending Sunday and Monday. I was able to see my mom and my sister-in-law, and we appreciate that. Teresa really appreciates that. My family does. Thank you, Josh.
So if you didn't watch the drop yesterday, it was the start of our Southern Comfort Tour. We're all through Tennessee and Kentucky, and it was fun. It was great. We saw some great stuff. We learned some great history. We met some great people. Another journey in our book, and you guys will love this series. Watch episode 1, and then next week's getting even better.
Well, we really did just really Tennessee,
Yeah.
just outside of Nashville. We went to Lynchburg.
Yeah.
But there is going to be the next couple of drops. I think I heard Josh say earlier today the footage on the next drop is going to be insane. And, we were doing Cherahalla Highway, the Tail of the Dragon. We hit a bunch of stuff and back roads. So the leaves were changing. The colors were incredible. So I think these few drops are going to be pretty excellent. And then Letitia Klein's with us as well. So
Yeah, and that's great.
that always helps.
I was going to say, I am really super excited. We've made some cool t-shirts along the way. We have 2 new t-shirts that will be dropping in the next week, I think. Pay attention to our website because you'll see what they are, but they're something a little bit different than we normally do.
And
They're badass.
I will say, out of all of our t-shirts, one of them is by far my favorite we've ever put out. So there's that.
So stay tuned to our new t-shirts next week.
We've got a garage t-shirt, so it's pretty cool. You're going to have to take a look at that one.
Really badass. And at the end of the show, what are we doing?
We do have a giveaway.
We are going to do a
There
randomator
you
generator giveaway on some Custom Dynamics LED Pro Beam drop-in lights for touring, Dyna, Softail, and some Sportster models. Thank you to everyone who commented on that post. You still have an hour to do it. Well, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. You never know.
So stay tuned to the end of the show we'll let you know who won.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's get Alex in here because I think people are going to want to hear this guy's story.
Yes. And without botching an intro, I'm going to let him do it. So without further ado, we got the one and only Alex Chacon in the house. What's up, Alex?
What's going on, guys?
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Likewise, thanks for having me on.
So we've started this channel about 2.5 years ago. Lance and I, just by way of introduction, have been riding together for about 10 years into small towns across the country and coming back with these incredible stories and our families are like, you've got to get this message out there. And, so we started this channel. We're all about good vibes and travel and seeing the small towns in America, hence 2LaneLIVE. We do want to go global at some point as well. We've have 53 countries that watch the show. We'd love to get into some different countries, and we'll let you talk a little bit about that. But we've always talked about fate being in our corner and things just working out. And that's kind of what happened here with you. I know you're a busy guy and you've been all over the globe, and we can't wait to hear that story. But I literally thought you'd commented on a post, and then it was Swedlin's post. And it was so kind of you just to answer back an email when I had asked you if you were interested in chatting. And I just want to thank you because I know you're busy and I know you're traveling right now, but for you to join us today is great. And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, great. Thank you for those delightful, wonderful words. It's an honor to be on here, and I'm glad the fate, as you said, destiny, kind of brought us together in a very interesting way. So I travel. I'm one of those fun YouTubers that does these travel videos, lifestyle, motorcycles. I'm not sure how far back in my story you want to go, but basically my elevator pitch is that when I was 23 years old, I was in medical school. I decided to take a break. I sold everything I had, and I ended up driving a KLR 650 motorcycle from Alaska to Argentina and back in 500 days. Had a blog. The blog became photography. The photography became video, and then the video became YouTube. Then I had my first viral video in 2012. It got 3 million views. It was basically an old GoPro HD2 on top of my helmet, and I played just all the best scenes of my Alaska to Argentina trip with a really cool song. And that made me a little bit of money. I kept traveling. A year and a half later, I released my most viral video in 2014. It was actually YouTube's 10th most watched video of the year on 2014. It got over 100 million views worldwide. It was called the 3-Year Epic Selfie. And that's where I kind of figured out and learned that I could actually be making money and traveling, getting paid for it somehow, and how AdSense worked back then, licensing my content to TV commercials for like Google. I was on Good Morning America. I did CBS's Morning Live interview. I was on Fox's America's newsroom. I was on the cover of Time Magazine, the digital copy, Lonely Planet, everything you can imagine. I had my 10 minutes of fame after 2.5, 3 years of traveling on the motorcycle. And that kind of basically allowed me to realize medical school, becoming a doctor, becoming a surgeon, like I had thought I was going to become, wasn't exactly my path in life. And it just became this really cool, creative thing that I did for fun. I sold all my belongings, all my savings, and I got home after that first 3 years and I had $100 in my bank. And I said, oh man, what am I going to do? But then luckily the viral videos happened and here we are today.
That's awesome.
That's crazy. So I'm sure your family was proud you were in college, you were graduating, but you decide, I think, what was it, 2010?
Yeah, 2010, 2011, yeah.
Yeah, and you decided to sell everything and hit the road. What inspired that? Was it you knew that at that moment that was probably the best chance you had for some time?
Well, interestingly enough, I mean, I come from a Mexican background. My entire genealogy is from the Mexican side of things. I was the first kind of generation born here in this country. So you can imagine how a very strict cultural Mexican philosophy of you get a job, you get a girlfriend, you get the education, you rent the house, you buy a car, you marry the girlfriend, you have kids, and then you die. So
right.
That kind of ideology of, you work for 15, 20 years of your life, then you retire, and then you travel. So that was kind of like the mindset that's instilled in you from basically birth. So it all kind of started because, number one, I was burnt out from school. I was so tired of just sitting at the library every single day and having just the world flash by me in an instant. And I said, I don't want to wait the next 30 years paying off loans, being $250,000 in debt, which is the average debt you have now in medical school in this country. And then finally traveling when I'm 60 with broken knees and absolutely no love for life anymore. And I said, I need these experiences to change me. I want to have something when I'm young, and I want to have stories to be able to tell my potential kids and grandkids in the future, saying, I just wanted to have something to say, and I wanted to do something so incredibly different. And the word gets overused, but back then I used the word a lot, epic. I just want to do something so crazy and amazing that people would say, that guy lived. And even if it was just for 3 months, which is my initial 3 months, was I initially had funding and time for. And the 3 months became a 3-year trip because people started donating on my blog. I started selling commercialized footage of what I was creating, and that was it. It just started because I needed a break, and then I kept going because people supported me, and then I realized how amazing and cool it was, and how much I was benefiting from it on a mental health level. And then I realized at the end of it that I didn't want to go back to medical school.
Well, that's awesome, and that's passion right there, and that's what we go off of. It's like you love doing that. You created it. You made it happen. That's why you're successful, because you followed your heart.
And I will say this, when we were reading through one of your websites, a quote really stood out to me. It was, I realized I was able to reach more people than I could have ever dreamed as a doctor. So like in some way or another, in either case, you would be helping people, whether it be medically or mentally or whatever it may be. But that's something we've all noticed as well, as we get so many inspiring comments of people saying, hey, I was stuck in the house. You've inspired me to go travel, this and that. And the internet, for lack of a better word, is fucking weird. And you can just, in a good way, you can reach so many people doing inspiring things. So I think you made the right choice.
Well, and it strikes me kind of as well, reading some of his stuff about the inspiration. We started our channel to inspire people to get out and just travel. We didn't care what kind of motorcycle you're on. If you're in a car, our blogs were initially more map related, food, eat, where we stayed, and just go traveling. We happened to start it right in the middle of, the whatever it was in 2020. And we didn't stop traveling. And I think that helped us in a way where it allowed people that were in lockdown countries or lockdown here, that they could view some content, and they wanted to see, people that were out traveling. And what also strikes me kind of interesting is seeing some of your stuff. There's a lot of times when you're filming the selfie and you've got kids in different villages and around you, and they're so excited to see you, and they're laughing, and talk a little bit about, that and that that outreach that you have to people.
Sure. Yeah. I just, the reason I like what you guys do, because it's, the point I wanted to say to you, doesn't matter what bike you drive. I think I've proven and gone on to figure out, it doesn't matter what bike you have, any motorcycle can be an adventure motorcycle. I remember I was in Nepal and I had no money, and the only motorcycle they had to rent was a Bajaj Pulsar 200, which is a street bike that has no power, has road tires. The helmet they had was just a terrible piece of metal, basically a bucket on your head. And I took that thing through some villages and off-roads that you should not be taking any motorcycle on. And they were like 4x4 Jeeps that were stuck and whatever. But the bike was light enough where I could actually get these people to help me out. I would be stuck, right? And I could pull myself out. I'd have to take all the stuff off the bike. And if I really tried, I could pull it out. But people were just so interested in going like, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. The Jeeps can't even cross. But I just didn't know. And back then, Google Maps was very, very sketchy. So bringing in these people into my videos was just organic, and it just happened naturally. I didn't really plan for it, but then I realized like, oh, I should probably capture these little kids going to school trying to help this crazy foreigner drag a motorcycle through the most insane mud you've ever seen on a street bike. So I realized there was a human story with that. So as time went on, I started including people in my videos. Honestly, I started making that 360 selfie video before selfie sticks actually existed. I actually constructed my first selfie stick in 2010, about 2 years before an actual selfie stick came out. So if you see if you search 3-year epic selfie on YouTube, you're going to see my video, the very first one. But the 3-year epic selfie video, you'll see the evolution in 3 years of what I had to do to construct a selfie stick. And it was basically the legs of a tripod just kind of zip tied together, duct taped together, and I just glued a GoPro HD2, which was the only action camera at that time back then, to the end of it. And I tried about 15, 20 different techniques, but the one that kind of stuck was that 360 thing that nobody ever done before. So in doing this new thing, I just realized how cool it was to just have something for myself and show my family. And then that eventually became something that people became a part of. So my second installment of my 5-year epic selfie video, because I continued on adding on to my selfie, I got 3 good selfie videos. The first video was kind of about my experience, my thing. I was underwater alone. I was in the top of an active volcano. I was riding a motorcycle in the Bolivian salt flat. And it was just it was my thing to share for myself, because it wasn't about putting it on YouTube. It was about everybody always asking me, tell me about your 500-day trip across the world. And I didn't want to keep explaining the same story. So I just wanted a video for 2 minutes to showcase, like, here you go, watch the video. And I hit getting asked the same question 100 times a day. So the second video that I have of the 5-year epic selfie video became a video with other people. So in every single scene, you see the local villagers in Nepal. Then you see a scene with a random person in a costume somewhere else. And then you see another scene where somebody else is holding the selfie stick. And then you see another scene where I'm just doing a whole bunch of different things with the people. So I really liked bringing in people to the thing because it really added a human element, because at that point, everybody could relate to the selfie stick after year 3 and 4 of my filming. But year 1 to 3, I was doing selfie stuff in places and in areas and at a time where selfie stuff didn't exist and was not socially acceptable or normal. So when I was doing it, people would have their strangest reactions saying, what is this idiot doing holding a camera at the end of the stick doing? Nobody could understand. But then fast forward 3 years later, everybody's doing it. And the number 1 search term on Google is selfie stick for the year. So then people call me a trendsetter. I'm going like, at that point, I got very lucky where I thought, how can I capture a trip? Let's create something new technique, new tech. And there we are.
It was fate.
Yeah.
It was, because I also released the video at the best possible time in May 2014 during summer when there was a lot of views. And it's when YouTube really started like pushing travel content for the first time, and algorithms were being propagated and helped out with people, content creators doing unique things. And it just was a lucky time to release it. If I would have released it a month before, a month after, it wouldn't have had the same effect.
Right.
So when you're traveling these long trips in these different countries and like the scenarios you were just saying, how often did trouble happen where like the bike broke down or you've got the flat tire, and how did you remedy that?
Well, not only that, arrested or detained.
Well, we'll get to those arrested, detained stories later because those are fun. I actually have one video on my YouTube channel now. It says getting arrested in Egypt, and it's really well documented. I almost got robbed of the camera. I almost got assaulted. I got assaulted. I almost got rammed in with a police vehicle in Egypt, and it's a really great video. You should go watch it. If you don't know, you can just check out my T-shirt here. So yeah, I mean, there's so many of those crazy stories. What was the first part of the question? I'm sorry, I got lost.
The bike breaking down.
The bike,
tires, that kind of stuff.
I have a really funny statistic for you, and here it is. I've been traveling on motorcycles 70 countries the last 10 years. And there's one trip that I did, Alaska to Argentina. So that one-way trip, I had 0 flat tires. On the way back up that trip, I had 33 flat tires.
Oh,
jeez.
So it kind of goes with anything could go wrong at any time. You can get very lucky as well. You can get very unlucky. So yeah, even just driving just a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, I was going from Texas to California, and at 9:10 p.m., I got a flat tire on my rear motorcycle, and changing that thing on the side of the highway at nighttime was very stressful. So I was about to call a tow truck. I was so lazy. I said, I'll just call a tow truck and whatever. And I said, you know what, man, you haven't had a flat tire in 2 years, 3 years. It's time. You got to pay into the experience. So I just bucked up. It might have taken me an hour and a half to do it because I was filming it, almost 2 hours to do it. But I got up and I was on the road by 11 p.m. So yeah, you get flat tires all the time. I have tube tires usually because I have off-road touring bikes. But you get flat tires. You get corrupt police. You get moments where you just don't want to, you don't want to be there that day, or you don't want to go do that, but you're forced to. Otherwise, you're losing time.
Right.
You're in places you don't want to stay overnight. You rather pay the $10 than spend the next 2 hours in handcuffs trying to get people trying to get bribes off of you.
Right.
So you just have to say this is part of the experience. And the moment you accept that, and the moment you realize that everything you do can be interesting at some point, even though it's painful at the moment, then you kind of say, cool, I am investing my time and money into an experience that's painful now, but will be a good story later when you're on the 2LaneLIVE chat on YouTube.
Well, the interesting thing I find, you were in Egypt and the police and the different things and the stress and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I was fortunate enough to go to Egypt with my son. He did the Red Bull X Fighters, and he was able to jump his dirt bike in front of the Sphinx and the pyramids. But we went over with Red Bull and luxury and style, and it still was sketchy. So I can't imagine the stuff that you did that was not done with nice travel and nice hotels, and
Well, think about even Nepal and some of these other little countries that you were in, tooling around. I'm sure there was there's a story around every corner. So was this mainly solo? I saw a couple drops where you had a couple guys with you that were maybe friends in the area or something, but is your 10-year journey been mainly solo?
So my 10-year journey has been about 99.9% solo. And the reason that is because number one, when you make plans with friends or family and you try to create a trip with somebody, 99.9% of the time, somebody fails within the 3 months. If you say, oh, next year we'll do this, somebody has a kid, the medical cost, or a new career or something, or they don't have the same time off. So I learned at a very young age not to depend on other people. Instead of trying to connect or coordinate something with somebody, I say, this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going. If you're up for it, join me. But I'm in charge. I run the show because I know get things done. And some people just are chit chat, basically.
And that's an interesting point you bring up, because there's 3 of us that travel all over the country, and we're together pretty much 6 days a week. So we're fortunate that we're all have the same passion and the same goal. And you won't hear any of us say, oh, I can't make it. We have to make it because we do this together.
But Lance and I'll fight occasionally. No problem. Josh gives me teachable moments. So those are fun.
I do.
But talk a little bit about on the solo, kind of the mental of that. I mean, at least you're getting some audience, but I mean, that's a mental draw when you're out there on your own and it's a 12-hour day or a 13-hour day.
It is a constant battle, which is why you don't see a lot of people like me out there, because you got to be a little masochistic to put yourself through so much pain every day. And here's the thing. You guys have a nice team behind you, and that's fantastic, and that's incredible, and it's amazing you guys are able to do that. You're very rare as well in this world. But there's basically 12-hour riding days, plus the editing after that, plus the eating, plus the potential exercising, plus the whole relaxing at the end of the day. A lot of those things don't exist for me. So my days sometimes are 16, 17-hour days. I remember I was traveling to South America at a certain point, and I was trying to produce a YouTube video every single day, which doing this is just insanity. So I was able to do it for about 2 months, but then I was off YouTube for about 3-4 months after that because the burnout was hardcore. So yeah, sometimes in the videos you'll see that I sometimes meet other travelers and we travel for a day or two. I've been lucky enough to maybe travel, as of not this year, but the previous years, the most I ever traveled with anybody was maybe a week, and that was a huge gift because it was like, this is new, this is exciting. More recently, people have been joining my journey, and it's been nice to have help with the camera stuff. It's been nice to know you're not the only one out there, because as you said, the mental difficulty of it is, first of all, doing the same thing every single day. It's tough. That's why the travel is really great. If I traveled in the same country every single time, I would lose my mind. Right. But new bikes, new places, new challenges, new border crossings, new ideas. And I'm always interested in what new creative thing I can do. So on my YouTube channel, you not only see vlogs, but you will see cinematic creative pieces that I like. I really like the little thing of trying to put my motorcycle or travel type content into obscure, weird, and big film festivals just to see what they'll do. And sometimes I'm very pleasantly surprised. Sometimes I'm not surprised. But even just one of the films I did 2 weeks ago is on the short list and the finalist for a major travel awards festival. That was a motorcycle trip through Wyoming. So yeah, I keep myself mentally sane by doing different creative things, having different creative outlets, different ideas. But it's a struggle every single day. And I think this is actually a lot more difficult than what medical school might have been like for me. At least there I had proper food every day, proper transportation every day, a schedule, knowing where the career is going, not having to learn new things every single day when it comes to digital media, and just basically be there, read, perform, memorize a bunch of stuff, and get paid gaga amounts of money to do it. Would have been great, but then it would be very boring to me after a time. So it's more difficult, I think, doing what I'm doing now to an extent than it would be having a 9-to-5 job or going to school.
Well, a guy like you can't have a schedule.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how much work goes into it. And we also have a store here. So, we try to travel between 7 and 10 days a month. That gives Josh, not all the time, it gives Josh at least a little bit of time to get edits done. And the way we're editing, the way he's editing, we can't get more than one a week done. It's just, we're not, probably YouTube's favorite in terms of our content as it relates to YouTube-ish stuff. we've got a little bit more of a cinematic flair. We want to tell the story. Looking at some of your stuff, you're telling a story, and it's kind of cool to see that. And while it is a lot of work, we still love it just because we're out on the bikes and we're breathing that fresh air. Lance coined the term our time machines. I'm going to start using the Freedom Machine, but I mean, you've been doing this for some time, and then you took a little bit of time off because you were getting to that point, right? That boil over.
Yeah, well, I call it a burnout, but yeah, it's so intense that I was only able to do it for 8 years before I really burnt out, and I had to start doing something different and take a break. I took a year-long break. I've only been back for maybe a month and a half now, producing and showcasing. And as you said, when you're off the internet and you're off the YouTube or you're off whatever social media for a while, the platform doesn't like you because you're not making the money. They can't run ads on your stuff. So when you try to get back into it, it's like starting from scratch. So my issue right now is that I built up a lot, and I was at the very top of the industry for a very long time. Now coming back 2 months, a month and a half now, I've realized I'm at the very bottom when it comes to algorithm, when it comes to owning a keyword, when it comes to what videos of mine being recommended or featured. It's gone because YouTube no longer rewards quality; they reward quantity. So the people you compete with are the people producing every single day, even though it's garbage. And now it's all about shorts. It's all about the short format stuff. So as much as I want to keep doing the things that I do because they're inspiring to me, they're different, they're unique. Your content as well is very cinematic and professionally done. The people who are winning are the ones throwing garbage out into the internet because it's about how much you can throw out there. It's not about how quality it can be.
I don't think we can do that though. We love what we're doing so much. We want to keep creating and get more creative on every trip we go on. So it's like, we don't want to just throw junk out there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't either. But you know what? You know what's getting rewarded is that.
Yeah, you have to if you want to play the YouTube game, and that's why we've been looking at social media a little different the last probably 45 days here. What's generating revenue for us is our store. So if we focus more there, but still have this love for the craft and create something, then we don't have to be too beholden to them. We love the platform just because it has allowed us to get out to, there's no way we could do this back in the day when Lance and I were growing up, with magazines or ads or things like this, to have the longevity and the reach that we've got across the pond. It's been very helpful, but it's also the bane of our existence. We have to do it. And so, but, I also commend you because I think you pull someone in, not only on the motorcycle, but, we were talking about it earlier today. Sometimes we get to the destination and we don't have time to go see some of the sites where you're walking in the wave outside of Kanab and or you're snowboarding down a mountain or you're skydiving. I mean, you're hitting it all, and it's pretty damn cool to see that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. But yeah, it's finding that balance between doing something that fulfills your heart, continues your passion, but also playing the silly little digital media game. You don't want to be left behind either, and just be thrown to the back of the bus. You got to kind of teeter-totter and juggle two different dynamics, which is passion, love, creativity, that with the platforms you're on. And that's what I hate about digital media is you are kind of a slave to these big corporations to help them profit off your struggles and time, but you get something out of it too. But the real winners are, who.
Right. For sure. We got a couple questions for you. Someone was asking what your favorite motorcycle is.
Yeah, Scott Lynn says, what is his favorite bike?
My favorite bike is the one you have. Because I've taken a KLR 650 around the world. I've taken a Bajaj Pulsar around the world. I've taken a T7 around the world. I've taken BMW around the world. I just don't like KTMs because those tend to break down around the world, oddly enough. But other than that, any bike can take you anywhere you want.
Well, that's a great answer. I love that. The bike that I have.
Let's see. What is the most miles you've put on a motorcycle? And there was another question that said in a day. So both.
In 24 hours, I did the Canada to Mexico thing. So I put on probably 1,200, 1,300 miles in one day doing the Iron Butt Challenge when I was very young. I was probably 20. What was I? I was 22, 23 when I did that. On one particular motorcycle, I think I've only put 50 to 80,000 on one bike.
That's
You know,
good though.
Yeah, he probably did that in 6 months.
Yeah, most people don't put
That took you a year.
10,000 miles in a couple years because they just weekend hop, which is great. If that's what you can do and
Oh,
you
yeah.
can just hit weekends, you got to do it, you know.
I remember
How do you, since we haven't really ridden in Europe or anywhere, the U.S. riding compared to European riding or other countries for that matter, not just Europe?
riding sucks anywhere because it's always more inherently dangerous. It's actually more dangerous at home here in the United States for me than it is abroad, funny enough. Obviously, let's just say India. I absolutely love riding in India. It's probably my favorite places to ride. I actually feel safer on the on the roads in India than I do sometimes here in the States or even in Canada. I'm like, what are you people doing? Or, oh, okay, use your turn signal. In India, nobody uses turn signals, but the flow of traffic, if you can understand it, is just way safer because you have all these other bikers around you that if you're at the very front of the line taking off from the light, you're not stuck with the cars, you're not doing that, you're not waiting in traffic. And if somebody gets hit, it's going to be one of the 10,000 other people around you and not you.
It's like in Greece, in Athens, I saw that. I mean, all the bikes would come to the front and it was like a motocross starting, you know, just
Sounds like
gone.
organized chaos.
It is for sure.
The trick to have fun anywhere around the world is always have a motorcycle that's more powerful than the rest, and you're going to be just fine.
That's good.
Do you have a favorite spot in the world? Is there one that sticks out, or there's probably many?
You know, as you evolve in life, and me being now in my mid-30s, I've realized that every journey and every moment that we have is very special in that particular moment in time of where you are mentally, where you are psychologically. So every time I travel, just like my creative thing, I change my creative products, my creative videos that I have. Every year and a half, every almost year, I evolve as an artist. I can't do the same thing. I always got to be doing something new, which is why I haven't lived anywhere for the last 10 years. I travel 325, 350 days a year sometimes, just because I don't like the mundane and the normal. My office is a Starbucks anywhere around the world.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to explain really, but it's just that. It's just always having that constant change.
Sure.
I like that, though. That's interesting.
And another question from Scott Lynn. Where is some place that you want to go that you haven't been to yet, if there is one?
Yeah. I'm sorry. And to the effect of the last thing is that my favorite place is always the one that I'm at because I'm there for a reason. I'm never somewhere where I don't want to be. So going places, I don't know. I think it's no longer about the destination and place for me. It's kind of like, what can I get out of it content-wise? Because playing the little algorithm game that exists now, there's so much white noise out there. There's so much content that you have, in order for yours to be viewed and grow your audience and continue to make this a business, you unfortunately have to be a little bit of a balance of, if I want to go here, that's not searchable. People don't care about this place or this area or this country. People care about, why, people are searching the word Bali right now because Bali just opened up their, in Indonesia, they opened up their borders. People are going. They're now opening up a 3 to 6 year visa situation. So everybody's searching it. So people are just making content on Bali because that's, if you're getting 5 million searches of Bali on YouTube per day as compared to, let's say, Uzbekistan, which is a country in Central Asia, which I absolutely love and adore, and I would love to be here for a long time. That's only getting 500,000 views per month. So you're competing against people, a searchable term that has so much more traffic compared to one that may only have 20,000 searches. And you kind of, as much as I want to go places, like I want to go places nobody's ever been before or really obscure places, but I have to balance it out with searchability, SEO, rankings, the content I produce being viewed or not. Because it's very demoralizing when you go to all that trouble, you invest all your money to create content and you end up getting 500 views or end up getting 200 views or you end up getting 1,000 views, when if you go somewhere else, there you are, there's your 50,000 views that you need. So you create the views, you create the new audience, and then you bring them into the interesting stuff that doesn't get as many views. And that's how I offset my stuff. I play the game to a point, but then I balance it out with things that actually are matter and creative and are cool.
I think that's cool, and the fact that you're putting out different formats, if you will. You have these 2-minute edits of like just rad shit, and then you're putting out these short films now, if you will. Some of that's hitting the algorithm, some of that's getting what I personally wouldn't consider clickbait compared to the shit that we see every day on the homepage.
We just saw one earlier today.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak on it, but you know, it is a game, and we're aware of that too. I mean, we haven't necessarily reached a point where we've came to like, okay, we have to go here because of SEO or whatever. But just for example, Sturgis is a big one for us because the search terms from June, July, August, and September, because that's 3 months before rally and 1 month after, people are searching for it. So we went during May, which is 3 months before rally, and talked to local business owners. And that was, told the history, saw the views with no rally there. And that did help us get a little run up for the year, which is great, but it was also an extremely fulfilling trip. We got to meet small town America. We got to be in one of the best areas in that part of the country for riding. But you're right. There's always a balance. That's for sure.
But we also had people tell us we were there at the wrong time of the year.
Yeah. You don't know when the rally is. Yeah, I rode a couple thousand miles not knowing.
Like,
come on.
Read the description or read the thumbnail. It says pre-rally.
We
like,
went not during. Man. So, and as you know, people of the internet are very interesting. They like to have interesting comments. We actually have a section on our show here and there called the Keyboard Warriors Cup. I guess they can't see it. There's a nice Goodwill suit we wear, and we read them out loud. Kind of funny.
Well, that's better than calling them trolls. So
this is true.
Well, we were talking about, people that stalk a little bit, and he was saying he gets female models that stalk him. So I don't know what we're doing wrong.
I think you misheard what I said. I said that's what you don't get from stalkers.
He did mishear that.
So we've had a couple questions lately on what kind of equipment. I'll kind of segue after that into some of your experiences filming solo and how much you already spoke on it a little bit about how much time that takes, how many resources. But first up, Mad Mac says, what sort of video equipment works well for motovlogging? Real quick before we get into it, my answer would be anything simple. If you're just getting into it, I forget what you call it, but basically a GoPro. Something where you maybe fix a few settings, press record, set it and forget it, learn how to edit, learn how to tell a story. Something that's durable, but there's a lot of different options.
Kiss it. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple, stupid. So
that's not you, Mac. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
If I like to comment on that, the videos that have my most views are the ones where I only exclusively use an action camera.
Yep.
Not crazy.
That's the interesting part. Lance's son has a YouTube channel that is popping off right now, and he keeps it simple, stupid. One GoPro, want to get a different perspective, pass it to a friend. So,
well, it sure makes better for the edits. I mean, easier. We're downloading cards every night. There's 6 or 10 cameras going at any given
12.
time. A couple drones. So every night in the hotel, he's got folders for day 1, day 2, day 3. Lance, Galen, Josh. Drone and that's the only way to organize it for us. But there's so much content when we get back to the shop. Half of it, 3/4 of it doesn't even see the light of day.
That happens. Same thing for me. Same exact thing. I will say though, if you're specifically looking for moto vlogging, I assume that's what people think of, just talking to a microphone and having a GoPro in your helmet and kind of observing what's going on around your world. People go crazy with those things, and and you got the extra adapter, that huge brick for the GoPro that's silly. You got people going GoPro 10s. My biggest recommendation for you is the following, and it's taken me a few years to kind of figure out a very nice solution. So basically, this is my modular Schubert helmet, but basically it's very easy to get a little adapter that goes to the very front. You don't need to be putting these weird gummy things and sticky things. I use a GoPro 8 because the GoPro 8 is much lighter than a GoPro 9 or 10. It's got a smaller battery. So when you got a heavy helmet, this weight on the front really starts straining your neck, and it's really uncomfortable if you're not used to it. And most people hate it because of that. So a GoPro 8 for me is the best thing, and you just basically buy the media mod for the GoPro. You connect the microphone, and you just run it through there. You don't need to buy the brick thing anymore. So I see everybody on these motovlogging things with these huge brick things on the side, which
is wild setups.
Wild setups where you just say, just do the media mod. That's $70 or $40 for the GoPro 8 one now on their GoPro site, and you just put a mic on there. That's $20, $30, and you're good to go.
Boom. So we usually rock modular helmets. And same deal. We ended up using the media mod. Initially, they had it mounted on top of the head. And it took about 400 comments about us looking like Teletubbies to switch it up. Also, the chin just looks way better than on top of your head. But we found these. You actually might like this as well, Alex. Motorrads mount. So they're called the Flex Slim mounts. And they actually bend around so we could fit them on the modular helmet. So you can flip it up. The GoPro can stay on there. And it's same deal. Nice and light. You can fit your... we use 10s just because I like to maximize resolution, and it's not too heavy when it's on your chin. You have a wind cover and whatnot, but same deal. There's a little vent, route the wire through there.
We don't use the mod anymore. We
do.
Right
we use the media mod because you can't put a microphone into a GoPro without it.
We do use
media mod. Yeah, we used to use the brick.
About the big thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
but
we did a lot of heavy neck exercising before we started.
Let me tell you something. When you do this, here's the thing. I do this every single day. If you're just doing that on the weekend, you're fine. But every ounce of weight matters, and the way your body is physically. When you're on the bike 5-10 hours a day, every single day of the year, almost like me. Yeah, everything matters. Every little small thing.
100%. Let's see. Anderson's Outdoors. He says, I find getting motorcycle exhaust sounds difficult. Any good tips? The first good tip would be to record it with a helmet camera. The second good tip would be to not use the native audio. We've kind of collected some sounds. I've made some stuff at the shop, just using an actual camera, a dead cat to kind of blank out the wind. I'll park a camera on a tripod, ride by it right to left, then left to right, then front to back. And I use a lot of those sounds to put together these videos in a way that sounds somewhat legit. Not overpowering.
GoPro to your peg and ran by it.
Yeah, I've done that too. It's probably overkill because, like you said, the people putting out videos with just GoPros and maybe a layer of music, and that's about it. It's always going to do better, but we're just trying to stay true to the craft, I guess.
It's too much work.
Yeah, I'm coming to learn that, but we're sticking with it as long as we can pull it off. Let's see what else we got. Do you have a bike that you usually ride your own, or I know sometimes you're working with sponsors and hopping on different bikes?
Yeah, so like when I traveled to Europe last year, I went from December, January in winter, which you shouldn't go to Europe in the winter, but it was my only free time off, and I figured it was the only time so SW Motec is a big contributor of mine that helps me out with gear and stuff. And they have a whole bunch of company bikes, and they're used throughout the year at trade shows, at EICMA and all these different places. But when it's winter, they don't have shows. So I said, how long can you lend me out a vehicle? And they said, oh, well, since it's winter, we can do 2 months. I said, perfect. That's all I want. So I did all of East Europe. I drove for 2.5 months through Greece, Montenegro, Bosnia. These really crazy places that have snow. It was a very difficult trip. You can see some of those pictures on my Instagram, and some of the stories is insane. So I usually get the bike that is least financially devastating. So I don't go ship any motorcycles anymore. I basically try to find somebody who will lend me it for a small price, or companies that want the free promotion or whatever it is in exchange for using the vehicle for 1 or 2 months. That way my only out-of-pocket costs are going to be travel.
Yeah.
So when these companies get these bikes back, especially trade show bikes, they can't be pretty.
Well, here's the thing. I take them understanding that I'm, number one, responsible for any damages. Number two, under the conditions legally of bringing back the bike in trade show condition, which for adventure riding is very difficult.
Oh, man.
Oh, we know. We know that one.
Yeah, I bet you do. And when my East Europe trip happened, there was ice on the roadway. And I'm thinking, man, if this bike goes down, I don't know if I can have it ready for a trade show after it. So it's a big risk, big risk. But that's kind of the excitement of saying, cool, can I do this whole trip without damaging or having a little clickable thing on my luggage, scratch an edge or drop the bike? It was kind of really exciting to be like, how crazy and off-road and intense can I do this without causing an issue for me?
Well, we made it, 10 hours without completely destroying a bike when we took out the Pan Americas?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
let's
12.
see. Nightfall, maybe 12 hours. Sand pile, I torpedoed, went over the bars. You, being the nice guy that you are, decided not to run me over, ditch the bike. It's all good. Next day, this, that, and the other. But Yeah, I mean, adventure riding is something else, but like you said, that's part of the excitement. It's part of the adventure. It's all good times. Before we get back into it, one more question from Rich Stace. Where are you riding next, Alex?
Let's see. Last week I was in the South American country of Guyana, trekking through the rainforest for about 7-10 days without electricity or internet. This week I'm driving across the American Southwest. Next week I am being in California for a motorcycle rally. Then there's another rocky point in Puerto Peñasco, Mexico rally the weekend after that. And who knows after that? My travel life is basically like, oh, that sounds good. I'm close to that. I can make that work. So that's what's happened in the last 3 weeks for me.
How's your health been over the last 10 years with all these different countries?
Obviously, why I wanted to do this when I was young. The health is one of my biggest concerns in life. Not because
Right.
I have family history of anything, but if you go to Peru, for instance, any of the food that you find outside is fried. Fried. There's only Inca Cola, which is this crazy Coca-Cola thing that just has all this sugar,
Yellow,
diabetes in
green.
the can within the first 6 months if you drink that. So yeah, travel is very hard on your body because you can't find really healthy, clean food. If you can, it's rare. And then it's expensive. And then getting to it is even more difficult, more challenging. You just have to eat what you can get. That's the problem. So I did the trip when I was young because I know my body could take it. I was a semi-professional soccer athlete. I was a goalkeeper for soccer for a long time. So I was very physically fit when I left. So I knew my body could take a good punishment before I would have to kind of upkeep it. Nowadays, mid-30s, the difference between me and a lot of other travelers is that somehow I mentally am able to exercise and do things in random places. And you have to do cardio and you got to do strength conditioning. Otherwise, your body's not going to survive and make it very long. And that wear and tear just becomes exponential. So if you actually go to my Instagram, you go to my YouTube, you'll see me basically doing pull-ups on the side of a building sometimes when I'm at lunch, or you'll see me doing push-ups on this hot asphalt floor with my shirt off in front of 50, 60 other shoppers in this parking lot. Or you'll see me basically carrying water jugs or rocks and just doing something at 5 a.m. Because I have to do it. Otherwise, my body would just deteriorate. And I absolutely hate it. I don't have time for it. I don't want to do it. Nobody wants to exercise. But when you're sitting on the motorcycle for so long or editing and traveling, last thing you want to do when you get to your hotel or you get to a campsite is work out, is be physically fit. So I make it a point to not only be mentally fit by doing mental exercises, psychological exercises, but also physically do something. And let me tell you, it's one of the hardest things I do is trying to keep up my physique and keep up my athleticism and my health, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So-
And by the way, I got to compete with those sexy Instagram girls that are always on your feed doing sexy girl stuff because that's what people are watching. So you got to somehow keep in shape and compete against that.
They're after it. I do have a travel tip that'll force you to go on a run. And I practiced this in Kentucky on our most recent trip. If you drink enough the night before and can't take your bike home, you leave your bike at the bar, you get a ride from a dear friend of a local back to the hotel, and the next morning you got to run 2 miles to pick up your bike and ride it home in shorts and running shoes.
But you
I
have to
didn't
knock
make the
on
video,
my
but-
door to get the key.
I do.
Oh,
It's
you
good
didn't
time.
mention you're probably hungover at that time too, so that's even a better challenge.
It's good.
That's
good sweat.
That's the best way to sweat
It's
it
a
out.
Good sweat.
Let's see what else we got. Greg, I messed it up last time. Greg Ranjitawa says, "Are you coming to Australia?" And I guess I'll second that by asking, "Have you been to Australia?"
Been to Australia, did the Great Barrier Reef stuff, did the whole side Gold Coast thing. Been there, done that. Very expensive. Yeah, I'll go back at some point, but I'd rather go to somewhere I haven't been.
Agreed.
So you were talking about health and that. I think I read somewhere where one of your friends had a ruptured appendix. How did you deal with that? Was that the Dr. Chacon came out, or did you find a local?
So that's a very long, sad, and tragic story. Actually, it's
Oh,
actually,
no.
it would be an injustice to give it the short version, but I'll try to give you the quick bullet points. Basically, when I had finished my Alaska to Argentina trip, I had no money in my bank, and some guy found my blog and said, "Alex, my name is so and so. I've climbed all 7 summits of the world. I just did Everest. I want something to do that's new, and I love your trip. Can I pay you to tour me down through Latin America?" And I said, "Sure, I have no money. I'll do that to get paid to travel and do stuff. I said, this is amazing. It was back then what he offered me was a lot of money to me back then. So I did that trip, and we were about 5 months into it, and he was in Peru. And unfortunately, he had appendicitis. Obviously, that's a deadly thing to have if you don't get it treated within a few hours. So we were in this very remote kind of path. We were not supposed to see anybody for 2 days. So we're about half the day into this trip, and this starts happening. I look back, and he's on the floor. So basically, I had to grab him, tie him in the back of the bike, get him to the nearest village, and I had to basically have the whole community go get supplies in other villages, everything else. We stabilized them. We got him into this what seemed like an animal horse hospital rather than a human hospital, because it was the middle of the village in the Andes in Peru. And I basically had to negotiate, pay off a doctor to come in. He got flown in from Lima. We were trying to keep him stabilized, and somebody's like, "Oh my God, we're not sure how long he's going to make it." So yeah, for legal reasons, I will not disclose the medical capacity in which I participated, but I can tell you that I was able to get properly trained professionals and everybody in there in time to save his life.
Wow.
Which unfortunately, because
Wild.
they were operating on him in a very unsterilized environment, a massive infection did happen, which then second surgery had to be done after transporting him to a bigger city. And then finally, I was able to get him back home to, actually, funny enough, Arizona, where I'm currently at, for his family. And he got 6 months of antibiotic treatment, everything else, and ended up saving his life. But it was the worst place to get appendicitis.
Wow.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Where are you in Arizona?
Currently in Phoenix.
Nice. Okay.
Now, to end the tragic story for the bullet points I promised you, he lived a very nice life, and he had a few problems and a few addictions. But at the very end of the day, 6 months, almost 8 months after he recovered and survived and was going to continue on with his life, actually decided to take his own life.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
So all the effort, all the struggle, all the suffering ended up becoming
Wow.
the end for him in some way. And that's not what ended his life. It was something else. He just wasn't not a good mental place. So the tragic story was all that effort, which I can't even go into the strain and difficulty, the emotion, but also logistically, legally in the country, leading a motorcycle that's been imported under your name and all these things, and doing all that work to help him be able to come back to the country, because you just can't leave an asset or a vehicle there.
Right.
All that work, basically, I could have, I didn't have to spend 3 months fixing his legal problems if he was going to end up doing that, which was obviously,
Wow.
it's just a joke to the whole thing, or a humorous way of looking at it, but it was very tragic and very sad.
So are you a Longhorn through and through now, or no?
Well, I went to UT Austin, studied there, suffered there extensively in that very large university. I was very competitive. So I never went to any football game. I never connected with the culture, because I was in the library studying for medical school. You had liberal arts people doing the games. You had, people doing very easy degrees. I had a very heavy science degree based career. So I was there, organic chemistry, human physiology, human physiology, genetics, all these different things that required labs. And I saw everybody having fun. And then I saw my life wasting away at the library 7 days a week. So that's when I said, this has got to change. I am graduating, getting my degree, taking a break, taking off.
Boom.
Never went back.
I don't think you're going back.
Oh, it's too late now. I've lost all the credit hours I've accumulated are outdated.
Right.
But you can't look back, so you just got to keep going forward, and it doesn't matter now.
So you've kickstarted again. What is YouTube going to be the platform? You mentioned a couple of maybe small film events that you've entered some stuff in. What's kind of the goal for Alex over the next couple of years?
So the goal for Alex for the next couple of years is to play the little puppet game of algorithm, and also stay true to myself and stay true to my content. So I have to work within the constructs of my platform, which everybody does, otherwise you get left behind, but also provide quality and keep being stubborn and doing quality stuff, because that's what I am, and I couldn't do just garbage. So if you go to my YouTube channel, I've been thinking about putting a banner at the very top saying travel lifestyle vlogs that don't suck, because it's so much garbage out there. So when you look at mine has nice color grading, it has good transitions, it has the proper levels for audio, everything's kind of synced up, there's a story, there's a nice emotional moment. I think what I do, a lot of the little vlogs and stuff, or the cinematic pieces that I do, are very emotional, and that's the challenge for me, is to create an emotional response. And I usually can do that with the cinematic videos because there's a nice story. And my latest one, there was a nice voiceover and all that stuff. And it was a personal journey of mine. So yeah, the idea is to work within the context of the platform, grow the audience, grow the business, and hopefully not drive myself insane in the process.
Right. Well, we'll have to, next time you're through Southern California, you need to stop in our shop here and we'll go break
Absolutely.
some bread.
That'd be great. I will actually next week be at the ADV motorcycle rally out there in Julian, California.
Oh, you're going to be down. You're going to see Stacy ride to food.
Yep, she's participating.
Yeah.
We're going to be in Page, Arizona next week.
We're doing a documentary on Lake Powell, and you know, there's been a lot of negative press around you can't do anything because the lake's dried up, and the purveyors there are losing business because of that. So we're going to try to go stop that a little and put a positive spin out on it, because you can still paddleboard, you can still water ski, you can still houseboat.
And there's a nice search volume going on.
Yeah.
Well, there's that's how we play the algorithm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the lake's
bit, not
400
always.
feet deep still.
So we've taken a little different take this last maybe year and a half, where we'll pill out some places where we can do a little bit more documentary style and showcase the business owners, restaurateurs, historians of some of the smaller towns. We did a whole piece on Route 66 from Seligman to Oatman. We just did the Sturgis behind the scenes, so showcased a bunch of Deadwood folks up there. And so we're trying to do a little bit of a different spin and not just have it us all the time, and let the channel be more about others as well.
Yeah, I really like what you guys do, because a lot of these motorcycle channels are just about, oh, what engine thing, what this, what little byproduct thing, what little gear thing. You guys are telling a human story, which is way more captivating. So anybody can go figure out what's your best side stand, what's your best this, what's whatever little trinket thing you can get. How much can you farkle out a vehicle? How pretty can you make it look? You guys are actually like using the vehicles, and you're telling the story, and you're meeting the locals, and you're really getting that human experience with you. And I think that's why you guys have a good audience retention, and you have a good public behind you. And the reason some people stalk you at events, because they just really connect with that human story.
Yeah, for sure. And then we're relatable. We like relating with people. We don't push anyone away. We shake their hands. We talk.
Shaking hands with America.
Shaking hands with America.
But soon it's going to be global. We're going to get to some different countries. You had done a bunch of work I'd seen on some of your stuff with, giving back to kids groups and different things. And we do the same with like first responders. So I just want to commend you for all the effort you've given back to groups over the years of helping fund them with different programs and projects.
Yeah, same for you guys. It's always nice to kind of live your life and be supported on the internet world by people like each other. But it's also nice to support others and give back in a way. So yeah, in the past, my blog used to raise money for a charity in Mexico. Then it was a charity in Uganda. Then it was a whole bunch of different other charities. So it's nice to have the support. What comes around goes around, and people just love helping people. So it's really nice to have help on my end, but also for me to do it. And whether it's sharing a meal with somebody, whether it's going to a church in Guatemala and volunteering my half day for something, or giving somebody a random ride somewhere that's sticking their finger out or the thumb out, I should say. Not the other finger. You don't want to pick up. You want to pick up the thumb, people. Just contributing to the world and the human experience.
Well, that's, I think, what our drive is. I mean, we've learned from going across this country, up, down, left, right, wherever, state to state, whether you're in Maine, California, wherever you are. We've met so many great people, and so many people love to tell stories, to listen to stories. I mean, this whole thing with the shaking hands with America, I mean, if you watch the news, you're not really seeing what the people in the country are really like. And then it's just so fantastic to meet. And there's a lot of great people out there.
It's just like the thing people tell you, how can you go to Mexico? It's so dangerous. It's so horrible. Why are you going to Africa? Why are you going to Egypt? Nobody likes Egypt. And you're going like, have you ever left the country? And they say, no. And you say, well, then how do you know? Oh, I saw it on TV. Yeah, right. You also see zombies walking around in an apocalypse on TV, but it doesn't mean you believe it.
Truth.
So you just got to be careful about what you read on the internet and what you see. The problem nowadays is if you put a nice graphic to something you say, it looks professional, it looks real. And what's happening in all this misinformation is I see all these little medical charts all the time online where it says the 5 best things you can do for your mental health. And it says this, and that, or it says foods you should avoid because they're bad for you. And they're putting things like apples or this, and people believe it because there's a very nice professional graphic to it. And you say,
Right.
oh man, this is bad.
Right.
So you got to be careful where you look out. So you guys are very authentic and very cool. And I try to do the same for my social medias, and hopefully people learn something and they realize, your goldfish mind should be looking for quality and not quantity.
Right.
The clickbait is everywhere.
Well, I can see that in you, and just talking to you in this time that we've been talking is you have that same passion and feel and adventure that I think that we have. And when you do that and you believe in it, it's all good. You find
He's
the
just
good.
30 years younger than us.
Yeah, you're just 30 years younger than
And Mama may want you to get married and get that job again, so you better start listening to her.
That dream went out the window a long time ago when she accepted me going on. It's funny because when I started this trip, my family and friends most of them were my biggest obstacle in doing this, because they said, this is 2011 when I did this, 2010 when I started doing this, and they were like, how can you quit school? How can you do it? What are you doing? You're wasting. You're going to throw away your life. And I had a girlfriend at the time, so I had to leave her. I sold everything I had. I had no assets. So yeah, it was very strange for people to be like, "What are you doing?" After I got back from my trip, after the first 8 months going down and coming back up, I did a little presentation for everybody back. I said, "Hey, let's all have a drink. Let's all have a food and whatever it is." And I did a very small PowerPoint presentation. And it was at that point where I explained my entire trip over the course of an hour to my family and friends, where they said, "Oh my gosh,
Wow.
that was absolutely mind-blowing and life-changing. And I didn't know that was possible in this." And then my first viral video came out with 2-3 million views after that trip. And I've, making a few $1,000s off one video. My mom said, "I had no idea you can make money off of making videos on YouTube." And I said, "Neither did I. I'm going to keep doing this, see how long I can do it."
Well, most people don't get out of the box, and they do the normal daily. I mean, you just have to take the chances. We don't have cars. We ride motorcycles to our studio every day. So you have a journey on the way to the office. You just have to try different things, whatever it is. If you're a golfer, an athlete, whatever, try and do new things and different things, because that's when you learn.
Yeah, and you don't want to do the same thing that everybody else is doing. And the last thing with my mom is, my mom was my biggest challenge before I left. But then when she realized I could make a career, make money out of it, she was my biggest fan, and she is now.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, a lot of people, like for instance, people just want to copy you guys and do what you're doing. But the problem is, nowadays there's so many people doing stuff. The best way to stand out or to be successful in following your dreams, your passion, your goals, things that are true to you, is you got to do it with a spin. You got to do it a little different. And that uniqueness is what, makes it a possibility to succeed in the digital media world.
Absolutely.
So either that or be very physically pretty, then you can do anything.
Right. Well, aren't we?
Well, you guys are looking good. Best
Good
part
answer.
about you,
So
though, is the beard.
Are you only child, or do you have you do have brothers and sisters?
So I have both. I have a half brother, but I grew up as an only child on one side of my family, and then as a sibling in the other side of the family. So I got both experiences.
My wife is Hispanic Mexican as well. Their family's from Chihuahua.
Yep.
And I know what you're talking about.
Oh, was as far as the if somebody's mad at you, they throw a sandal at you.
Yeah, the protocol.
Oh, the protocol. Oh, yes.
But it was interesting too. When I first met her, I walked into the house and all the men were fed first. And I was like, yeah, this is kind of cool.
That's actually old school Chihuahua, because my grandfather and grandmother were the same way. It's like, she knew her purpose was to take care of the household. And the only thing my grandfather ever wanted that was particular was, to this day, he is now he's 90 something. And to this day, his food gets served to him. And that's all he wants. He fixes everything. He still mows the lawn. He does all this. But all he wants is that one thing. If you give him that, he's all good.
Well, my father-in-law passed away. Gosh, it's been, I think, 15 years now. But after that happened, now we're back in the line with everyone else. So
Things changed.
that tradition left.
Well, they still exist in some places.
But hey, I mean, any parting comments you want to make? Where can they find? I know they've got it in the links, but just talk about your YouTube channel, Instagram, how they find you.
Well, if you want to find me and check out my content and stuff, that'd be amazing. That's the best way to support me and what I'm doing. If you like a little escape, if you want to see a little vlog, you want to do a little cinematic video, just search my name, Alex Chacon, or search 3-year selfie, or go to the modernmotorcyclediaries.com. You can also find information there, or conquertheworld.com, which is also my other website. So just search my name and you'll find me on everywhere.
And we've got you in the links, and this fate thing turned out today. We've been going over an hour, and I told you we were going to do this.
Right, it's a good
comment.
comment.
And I know you only had 45 minutes, but we appreciate it. I know you got some other things to do, but seriously, when you're in town next time, come on by. We'd love to take you out for dinner and break some bread with you.
I mean,
Absolutely.
You're part of the family now.
We're friends. Unfortunately, you're our friend now.
You know what? You're not bad friends to have. It's better
And
than the guy.
tell Stacy hello when you see her next week.
Any
we'll
parting stuff, Josh, that you have?
We're going to do.
Yeah, we'll probably do a
Custom
few minutes. We got to
Dynamics.
do the Custom Dynamics
Yeah.
giveaway, which people are eagerly tuning into.
So, any parting words? Are we good, Alex?
Yeah, we're good. And just for everybody watching is, whether you have a day adventure, a weekend adventure, a heavy bike, a small bike, any bike can be an adventure. Any day can be an adventure. And the best thing you can do for yourself is just stop making excuses, get out there and ride.
Words to live by.
So it was a pleasure meeting you. Very.
Likewise, pleasure was all mine. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
All right,
Alex.
take
We
care.
appreciate you.
See you down the road.
Take care.
And that is one way to end it. Get out, do the damn thing, and have a good
That
time.
was so great.
Awesome.
What
I
a great
guess, yeah,
story.
before we get into our closing statements, let's get the random comment generator going on.
Here it
Man,
is.
Think about that. He's been doing this 10 years.
That's wild.
You
When I was
know?
reading that blog, he was it was kind of the same thing. Like there's only so long you can live that life
Right.
before like shit, I got to take a little bit of a break.
But
I'm
interestingly
not hinting at
enough,
anything.
he takes a break and doesn't come back in at the same,
Yeah.
just because
You
he's-
lose the
the
momentum.
The momentum's gone. But he'll
Yes.
build it back, no doubt.
So I'm going to show the people.
I do like what he said
going
about
on?
clickbait.
Yeah.
So we go on here. I don't know why it's showing up red, but it is. That is the giveaway video. So I'm just going to copy the link.
I would take any comment because some people listed like 3 people, but one
Yeah.
individual emails or messages, I mean.
Okay, it's scanning comments.
Scanning comments. Uh-oh.
Let's see if I can get the focus to rack on here. I can.
Oh.
165 comments. So you're saying a minimum of 1 mention?
Yep.
All right. And there is going to be 1 winner. So one more time, I'm going to see if I can do this on camera. This is harder than I thought. There we go.
Boom. Is it
Scanning, scanning,
Uh-oh.
scanning. All right. Congratulations. You have a winner. Let's see. I can't read it on here, so let me see. The winner is the Druminar. You
Oh,
guys, we
hey.
met him in
Tom.
New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
All right. So Tom, the
Maybe we'll get
Druminar.
that with the oil kit sometime.
Yes, sir. The Druminar. I'm going to screenshot that so we can hit him up.
Fantastic.
And just in case, I'm going to do a runner-up in case he
Oh.
decided to run away from.
You know what? And whoever that
Justice.
runner-up is, we'll send him a shirt or something.
Yeah,
That's true.
We'll do something.
That's a good point. So congrats, Mr. Druminar. Let's see. Paste again. Scan. Uno momento. I should have brought the horny biker's in the house. What's up, horny biker? Turo. Time to add some miles.
What is the
Okay.
big comments up there?
What is what?
JC Crew or whatever the.
I'm not seeing what you're talking about.
Comments on the sideboard. No big deal. They're,
JC. I don't see a JC crew.
I don't-
It may not be JC.
Oh.
Oh,
Mad
good.
Mac, thank you guys for a great show. Very informative and enjoyable. Please ride up to the Northwest before going outside America too. See you down the road. XC9er, Mexico isn't as bad as the news says, but then again, it isn't exactly how bad the news says it is. When my family and I go, rule number 1 is to never stay out after a dark and bring our local family everywhere we visit. This is true. Always nice to have a local.
Yes.
All right, so find winners. Winners are determining. This must be a site not built here.
Yeah.
Of course, you can only do it once with the free trial.
What?
Huh. Winners.
there you have
It says register to see more. So, ladies and gentlemen, Druminar.
We
is
have
the
our
winner.
winner.
Like
How
it or
about this?
not.
How about this? We can come up with a word, and the first person to type it correctly wins. What did you say? A shirt?
Well, if Druminar doesn't, if his bike won't fit those drop-ins, they can win the drop-in.
Okay.
And if not, they'll get a shirt.
All right.
Supercalifragilistic.
No.
Expialidocious.
I mean, I can't even spell check that shit.
How about Mississippi?
Mississippi. First person to type Mississippi into the chat will win something cool.
Would you make the announcement that this is today so that
Yes. And for anyone that is watching and it's not October 27th, 2022 at 5:10 p.m., you are more than welcome to leave as many comments as you want. Turo51, MISSISSIPPI. He's the winner. Turo51.
take a shot at
Um,
that?
Shot that.
Shoot
Toro, we
me.
need your address, so text us or email us.
Yeah,
please.
Turo, shoot me an email to info@2lanelife.com with a screenshot as you logged into your profile, because there's some connivers out there. And just send me your address and your shirt size.
And I saw Robin, the lady biker, had commented a few
Hi, Robin.
times. Hello, Robin.
Hey, so Southern Comfort or Southern Tour, whatever we're calling
Southern
it.
Comfort Tour.
It started yesterday. We're probably gonna have 6 to 7 drops. It's gonna be
About?
awesome. You have to check it out. The scenery, the history. We had fun. Letitia Klein, she will be a guest on one of these lives. Probably the week that her video is dropping, where she's in several of them, but we don't meet up with her for a couple of them.
Womp, womp,
Womp,
womp.
womp, womp.
But she was
yeah,
Why do they
fantastic.
have to watch them?
Because if you love us, you watch them.
So
I couldn't have said it any better
Yeah.
myself.
Please.
If you love us, you watch us.
Yeah. But yeah, episode 1 was
Tell all
cool.
your friends.
Checked out downtown Nashville. That was awesome. Broadway Street. Episode 2, also in episode 1, we hit up the Jack Daniels Distillery in Lynchburg, Tennessee. That was just a cool, mellow day. That was kind of our only, like, quote unquote free day. The following episode, we ride to Tellico Plains. Great views, bunch of leaves falling down, some good riding, some rather questionable dietary choices. And you guys will see that in the
But
episode.
we have so much good stuff. We're going on another great trip to Page, Arizona. We have these plans, this roadmap for 2020.
Yep.
We're going to be working with some great people. We got adventure after adventure, and we're going to share it with you. So please subscribe to the channel.
That's woke.
Is that woke?
Subscribe to our channel, goddammit. So,
We should have
we're
done
gonna
the
get
keyboard
comments on
warriors
that.
cup.
Oops.
sorry.
God damn it. You said it again.
Josh, where do they find this drop? Where they see it on our YouTube channel?
Which drop?
Spotify.
This telecast here, this pod.
Oh, yeah. So Pornhub. What? Sorry. I don't know.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's all on YouTube because the first episode of the series is the only one to drop so far. There is not a playlist yet. Long story short, if I
No,
make
where
a
do they
playlist,
find this live?
this live.
Yes.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, catching what you're throwing, seeing what you're saying, hearing what you're doing. You can also hear this live on Spotify. Just type in 2LaneLIVE Highwaymen, and there's a couple more episodes. We try to stick to the interesting ones with guests, and we usually drop those on either Friday or Saturday or whenever I get the time to do it. That way you can listen to it in the car, at the gym, on the run, at the grocery store, hanging out with grandma.
Who would have guessed?
Who would have guessed? At your job. Who cares? Just listen to it. And
Please.
and as Bob Razzo says, or you fired,
Yeah.
or I'll fire you.
Hey, that's
Maybe
my
he doesn't
line.
say it that way, but I do.
All right. Well, great show. Great
Yes, sir.
guests. We learned a lot. We had fun. We got some more coming. So stay tuned. We might not have lives for a week or so.
No, we're gonna have them.
We're gonna find a way, but we
We're
are
gonna
leaving
find a way.
town.
So we're supposed to have CJ Barham on next week.
Oh, you
And talk
dropped the
about
ball. You told
the
him.
story. So Lance, Josh, and I are headed out to Page on Thursday. We're going to see if CJ will get here either Wednesday afternoon and do a live then, or if we can get him first thing in the morning. So I don't know.
Oh, yeah, on camera.
He's got a
That-
story to tell.
Hey, We'll see you guys next time.
We'll see you down the road. Once again, this episode has been brought to you by Eagle Rider Motorcycle Rentals and Tours. Check out the link in the description or the Eagle Rider tab in our website to figure out how you can save some bread and have a good time.
See you
Speaking of
down the
bread,
road.
with
Speaking of
East,
bread?
New Belgium.
New Belgium.
See you
Yeah,
down the road.
I finished
Cheers, New
mine.
Belgium.
All right, we'll see you guys down the road.
See
Here's
you
the
down
point
that
where we're going to
road.
pretend to talk and act like a news channel. Peace.
Yo.
Cheers.